Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Lamondo and I am back to read you the Unteachables. We are starting at chapter 24, told from Barnstorm's perspective. Just get comfortable. Just when you think you've got it figured out, everything changes. First, life's about scoring touchdowns, shooting baskets, hitting home runs, until you get injured for the rest of middle school, which might as well be 500 years. Then life's about having a sweet row of 37 puffy tails, 3 times as many as anybody else, but pretty soon nobody cares about that either. Now it's all science all the time. My head is stuffed full of facts. I can't blow my nose for fear it'll come shooting out. I've stopped watching TV because any new information going in might push out something that's already there. My parents think I'm nuts. I think I'm nuts. I'm definitely not me anymore. But when the test happens, I'm gonna be ready. And then life changes again. On test day, I thump out of the house swinging on my crutches, just in time to see the school bus disappearing around the corner. Hey! I'm so shocked that for a second I forget about my injury and try to sprint after it, landing face first on the sidewalk. By the time I pick myself up again, the bus is out of sight. No! My eyes turn back to home. Mom had to work early this morning, so there's no one to bum a ride from. I'm in agony, and not just because my nose is bleeding. You know the phrase, it's no skin off my nose? Well, there's actual skin off my actual nose. The worst part is I've studied for this test more than I've studied for any other test combined, going back to kindergarten, and I'm gonna miss it. The other kids will kill me. That includes Elaine, who really do it. Out of options, I start hobbling along the sidewalk in the direction of school. There's no chance I'll make it, but what choice do I have? I'm thumping and swinging at maximum speed when one car engine roars above the others. From our many field trips to Terra Nova Motors, I recognize the sound of a broken muffler. An old pickup truck is zooming along in the right lane, passing cars on the inside. To my surprise, I recognize it from Volvasuela Dumping Day. It's Parker's pickup. I spot him behind the wheel beside some old lady in the passenger seat. Saved. Without thinking, I step into the road, waving both crutches over my head. With a screech of brakes and burning rubber, he comes to a halt about 3 inches from my skinless nose. Parker rolls down the window. Get out of the way, Barnstorm, I'm in a hurry. I yank open the passenger door. Me too, I missed the bus. You have to give me a ride to school. I can't, he protests. I'm not allowed. I can only drive for farm business. What about her? I demand, indicating the old lady. That's different. That's my Grams. I have to take her to the hospital. Grams, who seems fine to me, shoves over and pats the seat beside her. Hop in, kiddo. For some reason, that drives Parker crazy. He's not kiddo. I'm kiddo. I climb up on the seat, pulling the crutches in after me, and shut the door. Aggravated, Parker stomps on the gas and we lurch away, sideswiping a garbage can at the curb. I guess you don't have to be a very good driver to get a provisional license compared to a real one. As we approach the hospital, Parker cranes his neck. We need the entrance that says emergency. I'll probably read it wrong, but you'll see it regular. You might see it regular now too, I remind him. Parker has been seeing a special reading teacher and he's supposed to be making a ton of progress. There, emergency. We wheel out onto a driveway. You got it, I congratulate him. But what's the emergency? Your grandma looks fine. Gram peers at me. Your nose is bleeding. You should see the doctor about that. She's not fine, Parker insists. She's walking funny. Duck, he adds as we approach a police officer on my side. So I bow down out of sight, and that's when I spot the lady's old white Nikes. You'd walk funny too, I tell Parker. She's got her shoes on the wrong feet. We pull over and Gram switches sneakers. Lo and behold, she walks fine. So we drop her off at the senior center and Parker and I head to school. You're welcome, I tell him. You could have been sitting in emergency all day and missed the science test. I shouldn't be driving you, he retorts. If I get pulled over, I could lose my provisional license. But we don't get pulled over. We've even got a few minutes to spare before school starts. I thank him for the ride, and he thanks me for looking at his grandmother's feet. He's not a bad kid. We've gotten to know each other pretty well since being in SCS 8. We're on our way to room 117 when the door of the boys' room opens and out steps Mateo. Hey, we both greet him. He doesn't answer, which is weird. Mateo usually talks at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, in case it comes up on the science test. His expression is weird too. Embarrassed? Upset? I look down. The kid is standing in a puddle. Water drips from his clothes and even the tips of his fingers. I'm mystified. Dude, why are you all wet? My answer comes when 3 big guys emerge from the bathroom, shoving each other and laughing. I know them. They're football players, my teammates. Not that they want anything to do with me now that I'm on the sidelines. It doesn't take a genius to figure out the reason Mateo's half drowned. The biggest of them, Faulkner, nods in my direction. Anderson, he mumbles and starts away. I stick out a crutch to stop him. Get the others, I tell Parker. He runs off in the direction of room 117, and I turn back to my former teammates. Real nice, picking on a kid a tenth of your size, 3-on-1. Like you never did it, sneers another of the three, Karnofsky. I did, once, last year. It was stupid. I just wanted to prove my aim was better than Karnofsky's. The trick is to stick your finger in the faucet and direct the stream of water with deadly accuracy at the target. But when I saw the kid I hit dripping and miserable, I never did it again. Besides, I didn't know that kid. I know Mateo. So, you've got nothing to say, Faulkner grunts. What's this dweeb to you anyways? His name is Mateo, I say stubbornly. I hear footsteps in the hall behind me. Parker leading the rest of SCS 8. I don't actually see them, but I know they're there. My attention stays focused on the 3 football players. Faulkner looks surprised. Wait, you're with them? The Unteachables? They're better friends than I ever had when I hung around with you, I spit back. Karofsky kicks the crutch out from under my left arm, knocking me off balance. Rain catches me just in time to keep me from hitting the wet floor. Aldo leaps forward and shoves Karofsky back against the wall. It's a dumb move, typical Aldo. Karofsky is as mean as they come, and Aldo isn't nearly tough enough against real people as he is against lockers, which don't hit back. Sure enough, the third kid, Bellingham, takes a swing at Aldo, and I'm thinking, here we go. But Aldo ducks, and his big body steps into the path of the flying fist. A heavy blow lands on Elaine's shoulder. It makes a loud smack, but she doesn't budge, solid as an oak tree. Bellingham's eyes widen in horror as he realizes who he's hit. Faulkner and Karofsky turn pale. I get the feeling Faulkner's attempted to snarl something like, this isn't over, but Elaine rhymes with pain. He wants it to be over. The 3 football players turn, tail, and flee. I bray a laugh over their receding backs. Gee, guys, can't you run away any faster? Kiana starts hustling the lot of us toward room 117. Lucky for us there weren't any teachers around. Lucky for us, I crow. Lucky for those jerks. Elaine was about to stomp them into hamburger. Me? Elaine asked, confused. We should have let you wipe the floor with them, I enthused. You know, like that kid you knocked unconscious with the duct tape to the flagpole? Elaine looks bewildered. Or when you tipped the steam table onto the lunch ladies because you didn't like crunchy peanut butter, Raymans? I love crunchy peanut butter, Elaine rumbles. What about the guy you headbutted down the stairs, I demand? You can't say that never happened. Like 20 people wound up in the nurse's office. He just dropped his phone, she explains. He bent to pick it up. I bent to help him. We bumped heads. Elaine assumes a faraway expression as she relives the moment. The kids on the steps didn't stand a chance. He took them out all the way down. It looked like a giant wave of people breaking over a staircase. We end up standing there outside room 117, staring at each other in amazement. It's just rumors, you guys, Kiana tells us. You know how stories spread in school. The uprooted tree? Parker persists. The bathroom stall door? The fire extinguisher? Come on, the fire extinguisher has to be true. Elaine shakes her head. Sorry. Okay, fine, I say finally. But it has to stay our secret. If word gets out that you aren't a doomsday machine, the entire football team's going to kick our butts. Ribbit appears in the doorway. What's everybody doing out here? The science test starts in 3 minutes. The science test. After all the craziness of the morning, I almost forgot about it. Who knows how many important facts already leaked out of my head? Ribbit distributes the test booklets as we take our seats. It's game on. Chapter 25, told from Kiana's perspective. The first time the Unteachables go to Sonic is the day of the state science assessment. We don't know if we'll be able to celebrate how we did, but we can definitely celebrate the fact it's over and we survived. Plus, Parker has his family's pickup so he can use the drive-thru. Of course, he's not allowed to have passengers except his grandmother, so we have to walk and meet him there. But we can drink our slushies and sodas in the flatbed, lounging among the bushel baskets of potatoes and onions. It's pretty fun. So we go back a couple of days later when the weather's still nice. It's a long walk home though, so it's pretty late in the afternoon when I come stumbling through the door, hyped up on sugar, to find Step Monster in the front hall waiting for me. I'm instantly on my guard. I've been in Greenwich more than a month and she's never once waited for me. She's always too busy chasing after Chauncey, trying to keep him from spontaneously combusting or flushing himself down the toilet or whatever. What? I ask her. Your school called, she tells me grimly. Or maybe I should say, a school called, since you don't go there. My first instinct is to try to bluff through it. Of course it's my school. Where do you think I've been every day? Save it, Kiana. It's all out in the open now. That science exam you've been working so hard on, they graded your test, but they couldn't find a student to match it to. They called us because we're the only Rubinis in Greenwich. You're busted. Science test. I should have known. Just because Mr. Kermit never checks his class list doesn't mean nobody else checks theirs. I kick off my sneakers and stomp into the living room. Wouldn't you know it, Chauncey is fast asleep in his playpen. The one time I need him awake and alert and ripping the curtains down, he fails me. It's not my fault, I complain. You left me alone on the first day of school, so I found a class and stayed there. Believe it or not, Stepmonster actually looks a little ashamed. I'm sorry. I should have been more on top of things, but your education isn't a game. And school is more than a drop-in center where you can come and go as you please. Why in a million years would you think you could get away with this? Because nobody cares about me, I explode. If you did, you wouldn't have flaked off. You wouldn't have flaked off before making sure I got registered. And anyway, what difference does it make? My real school is in LA. Nobody's going to sweat what happened during the few weeks I was here. This isn't my home. It's just a place to park me until Mom gets done in Utah. For a split second, Stepmonster looks as if she's about to cry, but she doesn't. I'll always appreciate her for that because I definitely would have cried too. Dad and I know you live with your mom, but this is your home too. We're your family. I peer over at her. She thinks that? News to me. I mean, she's nice when she isn't too distracted by her kid, who admittedly is a full-time job, but family? So what happens now? I ask in a small voice. I do what I should have done day one. I'm going to the school to get you properly registered. No, I howl. They'll put me in regular classes. They won't let me stay in SCS 8. Why not? Because. I blurt out the only thing I can think of. Because I'm not dumb enough. She's blown away. Dumb enough? I spill my guts, the Unteachables, and Mr. Kermit, and how we started out as a bad class, but we're turning into an amazing one, and pretty good friends besides. Stepmonster listens to my sob story, and the longer I go on, the more stunned she seems. By the time I get to the end of it, Chauncey is awake, but instead of fussing, he's watching me through the mesh of the playpen, listening intently, like he can't wait to hear how it turns out. Stepmonster looks me straight in the eye. If that's the class you want, that's the class you're going to be in, unteachable or not. I jump up and down and wrap my arms around her. I don't know if she expected it, but I definitely didn't. It's a weird moment, but not totally in a bad way. Chauncey isn't a big fan of that. He screams his head off. I pull back. You better go get him. In his mind, hugging privileges are his and his alone. She laughs. You're probably right. And by the way, I don't think you're very unteachable. That science test, the school says you aced it. So next time we return, we'll pick up with chapter 26, Mr. Kermit. See you then.